Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Happy Inauguration Day, everyone. Michele Tafoya with you for the Michele Tafoya podcast. We've been waiting for this day for a long time, and it hasn't yet disappointed. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. It's free, so just click that subscribe button wherever you're listening or watching today, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, wherever. Twitter, X, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just click subscribe. We'd love to have you with us every single time. It's been quite a day. Much has gone on, and a lot of it is not that pretty, but it's been a memorable day, and it's not even noon as I'm recording this. Maybe it's a little afternoon, actually. But anyway, here we go. I want to start with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This was not today. This was prior to today. Her explanation as to why she decided not to attend the inauguration. I'll tell you what I think about it afterwards. If you are just listening and not seeing this, you owe it to yourself to Google this later. Go ahead and roll the sound.
All these journalists are like, Congresswoman, are you going to the inauguration? Congresswoman, are you going to the inauguration? Are you going to the inauguration? Let me make myself clear. I don't celebrate rapists. So no, I'm not going to the inauguration.
Well, I think that, there was a lawsuit about this against George Stephanopoulos and ABC because he called Donald Trump a rapist. The president, now I can say the president, is not a convicted rapist. And that is quite a thing to throw out there. So, in other words, she's not going because she doesn't celebrate rapists, as she says. And yet all these people who called Trump Hitler, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, they're all going to be there. And you could say, well, because they have to be. Well, whatever. Not really. Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, they all called him Hitler, but they were all there. She just called him a rapist. Anyway, I wanted to show that, not to start on a negative note, but kind of a funny, humorous note. Also, in the minutes leading up to the inauguration today, like 15 minutes before the president was going to be sworn in, some ridiculous amount of time, Joe Biden, the outgoing president, before he was no longer in office, minutes left in his term, issued more pardons as if there weren't enough. Now, these are preemptive pardons. In other words, these are pardons that say you cannot touch these people in the future. They haven't been convicted of anything. They haven't been accused of anything, but you cannot go after Dr. Anthony Fauci. I've pardoned him preemptively. You know who else was on his list? His brother James Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, Francis W. Biden. His entire family was preemptively pardoned, as was Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. And as I mentioned, Fauci, preemptively pardoned. They've not been accused of anything. The reason this is stunning is, well, there are many reasons. Number one, he just pardoned his entire family. Okay, now what that means, a couple things. If they are asked to testify before Congress, they can no longer plead the fifth. They have to speak. They have to answer questions. Once you're pardoned, that's a given. You're untouchable, so you have to speak. The other thing is Joe Biden was asked about these kinds of preventative or pardons, these preemptive pardons, when Donald Trump was going to give some out in 2020, just before he turned over the office. I want you to listen to Jake Tapper presenting this concept. This is back in 2020 to Joe Biden about preemptive pardons. Go ahead and roll it.
President Trump is reportedly considering a wave of preemptive pardons. Does this concern you? All these preemptive pardons?
Well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. You're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons. Nor are you going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's just going to be a totally different way in which we approach the justice system.
Oh, boy, was it a totally different way. Boy, was it a totally different way. But how about that? Unbelievable. Just before he was sworn in, oh no, our administration will not have preemptive pardons. Totally different approach to justice. I will not pardon my son, Hunter Biden. I will not. I will not pardon him. We all know you pardoned him. And now the rest of his family and all these others. Now, the interesting thing about Fauci is Fauci claims to be science. Remember we said, I am the science? If you're the science, why do you need pardoning? If you did nothing wrong, why do you need pardoning? Why these preemptive pardons? And I mean, he did a boatload of these. It's on the way out the door, Joe Biden looked even pettier than he did on the way in. Well, tenfold. I mean, just 100-fold. This was really disgraceful. Protect us, Joe. And then there were some people who didn't get preemptive pardons. People who stood up for his administration who didn't get preemptive pardons. And they're like, what the hell? Where's my pardon? Where's my preemptive pardon? You left me off that list? Imagine that feeling. If you're someone who really put your neck on the line for Joe Biden and he didn't give you a preemptive pardon. Wow. So those were the moments leading up to the inauguration. Now let's get to the inauguration. We already played for you the oath into office. That happened. But I want to show you the moment that the president walked in, that he was introduced into the rotunda. And we have two looks at it. We have a look at it from just the Capitol and the rotunda and the people who were there. And then the Capitol Center, which is the place where the Wizards play. And it was full of people who could no longer go to the outdoor inauguration because it was moved indoors. So let's go ahead and roll one, then the other.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump.
So that's the crowd in the rotunda. And we also have the reaction from the crowd at the arena where he's going to be signing a bunch of executive orders later today. So those are just the folks who had come for the inauguration, who were moved inside to that arena. Here's how they responded when Trump was announced. Chants of USA broke out. It's quite a moment. Quite a moment. You know, was the speech everything I hoped it would be? No. By the way, we should mention when he took the oath of office, he did not have his hand on a Bible, and everyone's like pulling their hair out and clutching their pearls. if you saw this inauguration today, you know that John Roberts, who issued that oath, started like right away. The family didn't even have time to gather around the president. And Melania, the first lady, was holding the Bible that he was to put his hand on, but she couldn't get there in time. So whatever, everyone let's not freak out. It isn't required by the Constitution that he has his hand on a Bible. He just has to raise his right hand. The Bibles were present. All right. I'm going to play you just some clips that I found really interesting today. The golden age of America begins right now. This was the kind of rhetoric you wanted to hear from the president today. And some of his speech meandered off into, well, a lot of it, into ripping the previous administration. But his ultimate message was one of, getting the country together, righting wrongs, common sense, and a new golden age beginning. Let's play that clip.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
I'm always interested by the people who comment, oh, why should we put America first? Isn't the rest of the world just as important? Don't fool yourselves. Every nation on God's green earth is putting itself first. And yes, do we have allies? Absolutely. Absolutely we do. Israel, the most important one in the Middle East. Obviously the UK. We have allies. But when you're thinking about the safety and security of your own country and your own people, you've got to put that country first. And part of it starts with the DOJ and how, it's just amazing. The more time I spend watching politics, the more I realize the left projects itself and its malpractice and malfeasance onto the right. Just like Joe Biden said, I'll never do preemptive pardons, and he did a million of them. The left claims that Donald J. Trump would weaponize the Department of Justice. Well, what did Biden's DOJ do? Trump addressed the weaponization of justice in his speech today. Roll the sound.
Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
It was vicious. It was awful. And we're going to see what happens. We're going to watch this now very closely. There are new people in this cabinet. It was really impressive to see the cabinet lined up behind him, and also the tech giants. Oh, all the tech moguls were there. It was quite something to behold. And all kind of talking to each other. And yeah, it was really interesting. The decline is over, he said. This kind of goes along with that golden age. A lot of us have felt like this has been a country in decline. Our civility, our rules, our media, our freedom of speech, our way of life, our prosperity. So the incoming president, now president, I can call him President Trump now because it's all official, talked about the decline being over.
From this moment on, America's decline is over. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you.
That I can tell you. You know, every president has sort of those catchphrases that they throw in. That I can tell you. Like we've never seen before. That's another one we're going to hear a lot of. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting watching him say this with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sitting right there. It's like you're at a divorce hearing and you just rip into your ex about all the things they did in front of a ton of people. I don't know. That's a bad analogy, but you get the idea. He was not gentle. He didn't hide anything. Now, some people may find fault in that. Some people may think that was less dignified. Whatever. We haven't been in Trump's shoes to understand exactly what he's been put through. We've seen the public stuff, and there's probably a lot behind the scenes as well that we did not see. So there is no love lost between these two administrations. And it's going to be interesting because this is only a 4-year term he's got to make a lot of this stuff happen that he says he wants to happen. You know what I want to happen? I want to win more at Prize Picks. I won this weekend. I picked Lamar Jackson not rushing for the line, going under. And I picked Josh Allen throwing under the line that was set. And I got them both right. I really enjoy this Prize Picks, and I recommend you give it a try. It is so much fun. So now the playoffs are coming to a close, so it's now or never. You don't want to miss out on these last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks. It is the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs, and you can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. And I mentioned what I did. And I'll tell you later what I'm going to do for this next weekend with the championship games. Look, just download the app today. Use code Michele, Michele, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download that app. Use the code Michele with one L, Michele, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So thank you to Prize Picks for their support of the show. Unrelenting success. I love the sound of this. You know, I think I know there are people who don't want the United States to be more successful than any other nation. Why? I mean, do you ever cheer for a team? Do you want the Kansas City Chiefs to be successful? Do you want them to win the Super Bowl? How about the Buffalo Bills? How about the Washington Commanders? Philadelphia? You want teams to win championships. Sports are massive in this country. They're massive in the world. If you live in Europe, you have a team you cheer for in football, soccer, right? And you want that team to dominate. Here in America, the reason we want to dominate is so that we are not dominated. We want peace through strength. We want to be prosperous because a rising tide lifts all boats if you're willing to play by the rules. And I get the sense that people find that to be selfish or greedy, when in fact it's what's enabled the United States to be the most generous country on the earth, to help protect our neighbors and our friends and our allies around the world who don't have what we have. So in this clip, you'll hear Donald Trump promising, quote unquote, unrelenting success.
National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution. And we will not forget our God.
That was a really interesting punctuation there, which, by the way, did receive a lot of applause out beyond what we just played for you. And I find this really interesting. There was a lot of emphasis on faith today. He had multiple faith leaders speak at the inauguration. One guy was awesome. I mean, it was all really interesting to watch. And look, we told you this at the end of the year. The Bible sales went up 22% in the United States. You've got these apps now, Hallow, which is one I listen to for my daily dose of, just sort of spiritual endurance. And it does seem like there's this uptick of faith. And maybe it's because we've seen the evil of certain other countries, zealots, that make us understand that maybe there is something bigger than ourselves. And so unity and unrelenting success and faith, I can't find fault with any of those ideas. We should want to be unrelentingly successful. That's why you cheer at award shows. You don't like the ties. You like a winner. Everybody likes a winner. What we also like is winners in fair categories, like women to win in women's sports, not biological men who now identify as women. That's what we want. And that was part of this election that I think was a real undercurrent. And some people got it and others just thought it was silly. I don't know. The women's movement really has been quite something to see because, as people have pointed out on X, where were all the women chanting for the women who were being held in captivity by Hamas? I didn't see many of those protests. It seems like the only women's group protests you see are all about abortion. And like some women are okay to cheer for and others aren't. Certainly not conservative women. And how Mark Cuban said there are no strong women around Donald Trump. Whoa, did you see it today? Have you seen his cabinet? You seen that? So, one of the things that Trump has promised in his campaign and then reiterated during his inaugural speech today was about gender. Let's just roll the tape.
It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Now, keep in mind how many gay supporters Trump has. We had Scott Pressler on this show, calls himself the Persistence, who really helped bring in the vote in Philadelphia and all around Pennsylvania for Trump. Gay man. Rick Grinnell, former ambassador, gay man. There, the gentleman who's just been named the Secretary of the Treasury, gay man. So this is not about that. I don't want to hear Taylor Swift saying, oh no, the LGBT community is going to be so harmed. It is not harmful to acknowledge that you're born XX or you're born XY. And they're not the same. And you're born to one of those two. Ask any insurance company, who lives longer? Women. And so men pay a different rate of insurance. You can't go to an insurance company and say, I'm trans, and expect to pay the lower amount because you identify as a woman. No, you were born male, and therefore what do they call those tables? Actuarial tables are different because you're different. So, two genders, two sexes. I mean, gender's much more of a fluid state of being, I think, than actual biological sex. So, but he can say it however he wants to say it. It was an applause line. Another big applause line had to do with immigration. Now, we're talking illegal immigration. Please, let's not conflate those two things. Remember that his wife, the First Lady Melania Trump, is an immigrant. Remember that the wife of the Vice President, Usha Vance, her parents were immigrants. So there's a difference between immigration and illegal immigration. And, Switzerland's a great country. Try to become a permanent resident of Switzerland. Just try to become a permanent resident. Try it. And good luck to you, because it ain't happening. You might be able to get there for 5 years. That's it. That's all. You're done. So this is, borders are important. Citizenship is important. Immigration should always be legal. We can argue about how to get there, but it should be legal. And here's what the president had to say during his inauguration speech about that.
Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Okay, that was a major part of his first term in office and what got him elected, and it was a major part of this campaign and a promise that he made. And people want to see it. We're not talking about immigrants, all of them, writ large. We're talking about illegal immigration. And we've seen the consequences thereof, and it ain't been pretty. It's going to be, the rest of today is going to be so fascinating. This whole first week is going to be fascinating. This stuff is going to move fast and furiously through executive orders and so forth. It's going to be amazing. But this is why the United States of America held an election and voted in Donald J. Trump. Because for the last 4 years, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas told us the border was secure when it was not. And many people have suffered because of that. Americans, tax-paying citizens, have suffered in a myriad of ways because of that. So if you think it's mean, we all knew this was coming. I'm hearing reports of people at the border, wannabe migrants shedding tears because the CBP One app is being shut down today and all the rest. You knew this was coming. You knew this was coming. He wasn't playing around. And, look, I am the granddaughter of immigrants, but they did it legally. Well, I'm sure there will be a lot of people sleeping better since today happened. They feel better about this president than the previous administration. I am one of those people, but I've been sleeping great because of sleep cream. This happened again last night, you guys. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had forgotten to put the sleep cream on. I woke up. I thought, I'm going to do it now. And oh gosh. Okay, so this is a CBD-based product. And yeah, was I skeptical? Sure I was. And then I tried it. And I've continued to use it for months now. I've been using this. So you don't have to take a pill to go to sleep. You don't have to be on a prescription. Sleep cream, with cream spelled CREME, is just a topical. You put, I'll put it on the insides of my wrists and arms, sometimes maybe on my neck. You could put it behind your knees. You can put it on the bottoms of your feet. And then suddenly I'm relaxed. And it's just the finest CBD product that you can find for this purpose. And I swear by it. So go to sleepcream.com with cream spelled CREME, sleepcream.com. Use the code GAMEDAY and you'll get free standard shipping on your first order. Sleepcream.com, sleepcreme.com. By the way, it's guaranteed or your money fully refunded and you don't even have to send the product back. If you don't notice improved sleep after a couple days, just tell them. They'll refund you. And you don't have to send the product back. Sleepcream.com, sleepcreme.com. Use the code GAMEDAY for free standard shipping on your first order. It's a weighty thing to take on public office, in particular the presidency. I think we look from the outside, we look at these people who have been president, who are going to become president. We look at them as all powerful or something like untouchable. Yes, they get incredible Secret Service protection, but even with that, 2 attempts were made on Donald Trump's life. And, you know, I anticipate the criticism people will lob out there, I guess, after they hear what he says here. But if your ear was pierced by a bullet in the middle of a speech in Butler, Pennsylvania, and you survived, and another man didn't, who was in the audience, Corey Camper-Torre, you might experience something, maybe something spiritual. Let's listen again how that impacted. He brought it into his inauguration address today, how that impacted Donald Trump.
The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you.
There was a big applause line there for that, whether you agree with it or not. If you're spiritual, you likely do agree. If you're not, I don't know. But you know what? I've told you many times, I am a student of history. I love reading history. I have great respect for our founding fathers. And I think George Washington above all. And they called him the indispensable man because without him, it's hard to imagine the revolution being successful. And, oh, what's that? I'm hearing it. They're saying, yeah, but he had slaves. Okay. I know. That's not my fault. It was a different era. Believe me. Okay. Enough. George Washington was the indispensable man. And I've had people say to me, well, Michele, someone would have gotten it done. Someone would have gotten it done eventually. Are you sure? Are you really sure about that? Like George Washington, read a biography sometime or two. Read any book on American history and you learn how many mistakes Washington made, how many bullets he dodged, literally and figuratively, how he put himself in harm's way all of the time. The things that he did. The way that he led this win in the Revolutionary War. I don't know, man. I don't know that anyone else could have or would have done it. The point is he did. And you sort of have to go, man, he knew his purpose in life and he did it. So I can kind of understand how this might feel. And hey, look, there are a lot of religious people out there who will say, if you're still living on this earth, you've got purpose. And that's one thing I can philosophically agree with. If you woke up today, you're lucky and you don't waste your precious time and do something with it. I'm not saying you have to run for president. God, very few of us will. So I find that really interesting. And again, that goes back to that engagement of the idea of faith in America. I don't know if we'll get all the way back to where we were, or maybe we're closer than we thought. Maybe we're further than we thought, but it is interesting. And you're seeing a lot more athletes and coaches talk about their faith in post-game interviews again. So that's a little bit of a tell as well. Meanwhile, let me tell you about American Independence Gold. The Chinese-U.S. Treasury hack, a new virus spreading in China. Maybe that's why Fauci was pardoned preemptively. What else is unfolding behind the scenes that we're not being told? Imagine, or worse, what critical information is being hidden? Now, why gamble with your financial future Regardless of who is in office, and now it is Donald J. Trump, safeguarding your wealth is essential. Now, many of us are hopeful after today, after the inauguration, but we will remember the challenges of the last election and the interference that hindered progress. Relying solely on digital systems or banks, that's a risk you cannot afford to take. That's why I want you to take a look at American Independence Gold. Visit tafoyagold.com, Tafoya gold.com now to learn more. Or here's the number to call. Write this down, 833. It's on the screen, 324-4653, 833-324-4653, or visit tafoyagold.com. For generations, gold and silver have been the ultimate safe haven, weathering wars, recessions, and market crashes. Now, this is more than just owning gold. It's about taking control of your financial future. As a proud veteran-owned company, American Independence Gold goes the extra mile by supporting military families. They cover custodial fees for life on qualifying accounts, and they donate a portion of every purchase to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Don't wait to secure your future. Act before it's too late. Visit tafoyagold.com. Do it now to learn more, or call 833-324-4653. Do it today, 833-324-4653, or Tafoya Gold, Tafoya gold.com. Make the smart move for your future today at tafoyagold.com. Well, we'll leave you with this. First, the reminder, be brave, do good. Always be brave. Find your courage every single day. From the little things to the big things, be brave, do good, do a little bit of good every day. I think courage and doing good has stood out, shone brightly today at one particular moment of the inauguration. Carrie Underwood took a lot of heat from the left about performing at this inauguration. I can't understand it. I won't understand it. She's a patriot. She wanted to do it. But in case you didn't see it, or you didn't hear this part, she was supposed to sing alongside an orchestra, a military orchestra. So they introduced the orchestra and introduced Carrie Underwood. And then there was this awkward pause. And then for a second you heard some music. And then you didn't. And you saw Carrie Underwood kind of looking around like she kept a smile on her face. She's a pro's pro. And she just waited and waited. And finally someone came up and told her something. And this is where we pick up the audio we're going to leave you with today, because this was one of the most memorable moments, made more memorable by the circumstances under which Carrie Underwood performed.
You know the words, help me out here. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains